Welcome back to the coverage of YCS London. We have already played 6 rounds today out of the 8 rounds we're going to play on the first day of competition. My name is Oliver German. I'm your host for the weekend, and I'm joined by Matt Bell from the UK office of Konami.
Hello, everyone. How's it going, Oliver?
Pretty well so far. It is, in fact, just 7:30, and we're already in round 7. That's something new.
In terms of YCS events, that's kind of a miracle, actually.
Yeah. Especially with the turnout. We have 1,159 players, if I'm not all too mistaken. I got caught up with my notes in here.
It was 1,195.
Not 59, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So for this round, we picked 2 players that definitely have to win. I mean, we're always saying that, but if you're like 5-0 and you're dropping a game, it's not such a big deal. When your record is 4-2, it is a very big deal, because another loss could mean that you have no chance of advancing to the knockout portion.
Yes. Also, for anybody who's wondering, he played Dark Hole because he didn't have a Regeki with him. I chased him down through the venue to find out why that was the case.
That was the big mystery of last round's feature match. In this round, we got Claudio Kirchmair on the one-hand side and Christopher Blower on the other. We'll take you right to their table. Let's take a look. The other big story is Claudio is playing Shaddoll, something we have seen once or twice this weekend. And Christopher is actually playing Frog Monarchs. So he's been doing okay. The 4-2 record is nothing to flinch at.
Yeah, 4-2. It's still in contention. That's the key thing, to get this far into the tournament and still have a chance with Frog Monarch. And we have seen this triumph over Shaddoll in Madrid.
In the very first round.
In the very first round, so we'll see if that happens again. Changes that Christopher gets to play is he is playing that one glow-up bulb, which is just come back from the Forbidden Unlimited list alongside Regeki, which Matthew needs to get his hands on a copy of. But we'll see how this plays out for Christopher. He's playing against Claudio, and Claudio is another one of these European juggernauts.
Yes.
He's an extremely successful player.
Yeah, you can tell that he's one of these good players because he's wearing this very prominent red hoodie that is popular among the top players in competition.
Yeah, they want to be noticed.
Yeah. And so, again, we got the judges that you can see in the background entering the contents of each player's hand and deck. Not deck, that would be something, but field as well. We can see on the left-hand side, Claudio has a Vanity's Emptiness, not that shiny if I'm not mistaken. And Lila lights one Sorceress, but it is Christopher to make the first move. But here's Claudio's hand: Shaddoll Hedgehog, Lila, Shaddoll Dragon, Shaddoll Fusion, and the Emptiness that I mentioned. Christopher, on the other hand, started with Ronin Toadin, Battle Fader, Chaos, Shadow Monarch, and Max C. His Max C with a lot of quotations. And his Treeborn Frog got set. That is his only play for the turn.
I feel like this is a very good start for Christopher. He's not in fear of being OTK'd because he's got the Battle Fader. His opponent can't activate Vanity's Emptiness this early in the duel. Chaos the Shadow Monarch will answer pretty much anything the opponent's going to summon, save Breakthrough Skill. Max C, if the opponent does decide to do a bunch of special summoning nonsense, the Max C is going to come into play. So Christopher can just take this very minimalistic approach to the field and do all right from it.
Yep.
And this actually changes
everything.
Some of the decisions, because there is a Shaddoll Falco in the hand of Claudio.
Yep.
And now that the Max C has been played, one card's going to be drawn for when the Fusion Monster's summoned. And if Claudio does use the Shaddoll Falco as a material, it special summons back, and Christopher draws an additional card. So now Claudio's decision has completely changed, and he's now had to choose a different fusion to deny his opponent the ability to get cards. And now that he's committed to that, it's very unlikely that he's going to be sending Shaddoll Falco to the graveyard this turn.
Yeah. The other interesting thing is that he just sets a monster, Christopher, and you say he's in a pretty good position because he has these so-called hand traps, which are monsters that you can discard for their effects, and then they disrupt your opponent's strategy. Here we got the Battle Fader. We can't bring up the Max C because it's in the graveyard, the one zone that we don't have access to, unlike all of you with Soul Charge and Call of the Haunted.
You name it, you've got it.
Yeah, exactly. So there's the attack with the El Shaddoll Construct, one of the boss monsters, or that boss monster of the Shaddolls, over Treeborn Frog. And now Claudio knows what's happening here.
Yeah, Claudio is now glued into what the strategy is, and Christopher had that information as soon as he saw the Shaddoll Fusion. So both players should be on the same page.
Right.
Vanity's Emptiness being flipped immediately to stop the Treeborn Frog coming back.
Yeah, not that surprising, but still interesting. It means that Claudio will most likely only get like one activation out of it, doesn't it?
Well, the interesting thing here is now Christopher is unable to get his tribute material. He's going to have to draw a way out of this.
All right, so we just have the glow-up bulb on Christopher's side of the field. That is one of the cards that returned.
Okay, Mystical Space Defense can take out the Vanity's Emptiness.
Still, you can activate that as a quick play spell card during the standby phase. So now he's able to bring back the Treeborn Frog, which will be on our app in just a second.
And I think Christopher's considering, does he use the enemy controller here in the standby phase? Because he can get back his frog again if he does that.
Yes. And it's one of the best ways to get rid of the El Shaddoll Constructor, isn't it?
No. Yeah, it's another way for him to get rid of it. I think Christopher might be better off just letting that one go and then playing the Caius and
saving the enemy
controller for that play a little bit later when he gets his opponent's Blackluster Soldier and attacks over 2 guys and everyone goes crazy about it. Oh, he's going to go for it now.
Okay. Well, interesting.
Still in the standby phase. Oh, does he play level 10 Synchro Monster? No, it doesn't appear that he does. Otherwise, he'd now be able to use get a Formula Synchron.
Yep. So here he brings back the glow-up bulb, the temporarily forbidden card. He goes for a formal Synchron, something we haven't seen in a while.
It lets him draw a new card. See, if he had the Leo, he'd be able to make that now. But realistically, having the extra deck monster out is a bit of a liability.
Yeah. But, well, he's got this alternative. He can go for a level 8 Synchro Monster, like Stardust Dragon, which he is playing, of course, and Scrap Dragon.
I'm generally interested why he didn't tribute the Formula Synchron, then banish the Construct. So the Construct wouldn't have added Shaddoll Fusion back to Claudio's hand. Instead, he chose to tribute the Construct to banish his own Formula Synchron, giving the Shaddoll Fusion back to Claudio. I'm wondering if Christopher had a plan, or had he just misunderstood how that was going to play out. That's weird to me.
Yeah. So, yeah, Claudio seems to be ahead here with so many cards in hand. One just came down, that is Lila, Lightsworn Sorceress, that was at the very top. Activating it and hitting a Forbidden Lance, which probably did not get chained, I think.
No, chances are Christopher probably would have just done it, but it doesn't make any difference. Lila's in defense mode at this point.
So here's the follow-up, which is a Shaddoll Fusion.
For another Construct.
And yeah, that is Claudio's field just a second ago. That will change momentarily. Yeah, there we go. There's the Construct.
And then Construct's going to trigger and send an additional card to the graveyard. Probably Falco, or he might go Squamata, then Falco, or he might just go Beast Draw card. He could also go Core and get back a Shaddoll Fusion, but I believe he's already holding another copy of Shaddoll Fusion.
There we go. Anyway, that's his hand, yeah. Well, what do you think about dropping the Maxi on the very first turn?
It put Claudio in a bit of a weird position. It actually worked out for Christopher, but I don't know if he was just guessing how well it was, because Claudio had the Falcon and was like, okay, so I can make this fusion, get it back, and like have another guy I can get out of the graveyard next turn. So he's going to get a card that way, but then if Claudio wants to use the Falcon efficiently, he's going to give Christopher another card, immediately making Max C extremely profitable. So I don't know, he could have held back the Max C until the later stages of the game. Maybe that was the correct play in the long run, but in the short term, it created an interesting situation.
And we're also still wondering a little bit about that play with the Caius and the Formula Synchron.
Yeah, I can't think of a strategic reason why he would have done that. I think he just simply misunderstood what happened. You know, maybe I'm I'm horribly wrong, and it's all part of his master plan.
Yeah, sometimes it's really hard to make sense of it all when you. I mean, it looks like we got perfect information, but we don't know what players are saying while they are playing, and that makes all the difference.
It's so easy when you watch the show because you can hear what they're thinking.
Yeah.
And they walk you through everything, and you're like, oh, of course, that's how he's going to win.
Well, just give us like 3 more years, and then we're going to have that on the stream. And then it's going to be Claudio. I'm going to crush you.
Oh, we could put a little radio in their heads. You know?
Yeah.
Oh no! Now my Shaddoll construct's been taken out. I don't know how I'm going to win the duel. And then we'll cut to a commercial break. Oh, it'll be just like the anime. It'll be awesome.
I want to see Alpa in a situation where he's like, I should read this card, but I don't want to because then I look like I don't know what the card does.
I almost feel like you could do a poster of that, sort of like black and white, very artistic. Him just wearing a skin-tight shirt, just going, I don't read cards because I'm Alpi. You could sell that as a brand somewhere.
Yeah, we can definitely. So Claudio still has quite a bit of fuel in his hand for that engine that is already going pretty strong here. He just flipped the Sinister Shadow Games, one of the trap cards for the Shaddoll archetype, one of the very few trap cards at this point in time.
Yeah, and he sent a Shaddoll Hedgehog to the graveyard, and he's going to be able to use the Falco he flipped up to pull back another Shaddoll monster. I didn't quite see which one he grabbed, but we'll catch that in a second.
Yes, it will be up. So Claudio seems to be in a pretty good position here. Normally the Monarchs are not doing too bad against Shaddoll because they don't special summon monsters from the extra deck half the time, and that is a big advantage. But here it seems like Claudio is not having any problems because of that.
Yeah, what we're seeing here is Claudio is generating lots of cards out of nothing, and Christopher is not. And so, while Christopher is slowly rolling out his cards and making exchanges, Claudio is just gathering and gathering and gathering cards. So it's going to be really hard for Christopher. However, Christopher does have the Treeborn Frog up and running, so he's got every opportunity to top deck out some powerful Monarch plays and just roll over Claudio. Claudio does only have so many constructs in his extra deck, and I don't believe unless he uses Exy or Synchro Summon, he doesn't have another monster that can beat over a Monarch. But he has more attacks. But we know there's also a limited number of those.
Yeah.
We found out today. There's only 3.
That was one of the key things to take away, yes.
Oh, but
you
this
only have 3 copies of a card.
Yeah, this might actually be a game right here. That's 56, 60, 77 100 points of damage from 3 attacks. But there's a Battle Fader that we're aware of that Claudio doesn't know, but he's...
Yeah, Claudio's pulling out all the stops and he thinks he can attack for game here. It seems like a pretty safe assumption.
At this point, I imagine he's trying to get information from his opponent because he's probably going to suspect something's up as soon as Christopher doesn't start picking up his cards.
Yeah.
Of course, if I was Christopher, the way I play this against players that are experienced is I act like I don't know math at all. I'm like, oh, I'm dumb. Sorry. How does that add up? And then as soon as they go to do it, it's like, Battle Fader, you didn't get a read off of me. Because you do get some players that will immediately pick up on the fact that you've not picked up your cards when you've presented more than lethal damage on the field.
Yeah.
And then they'll change their play because they've seen that you've not done that.
Yep. And Claudio is one of the guys that I expect to be able to play like that.
Yeah, he'll be able to read what's going. Wow, that is more than 8,000 right there.
Yeah. So Claudio is, I think attacks are next. Looks like it. There we go. And here is the Battle Fader.
Battle Fader here to save the day.
Yes, we have seen this before. And now all we're waiting for is an enemy controller that can steal a Blackluster Soldier, but so far no Blackluster Soldier on the field.
Oh yeah, the Durandil, Claudio learning from the mistakes and going, you know, this time I'm going to stop the enemy controller.
Right.
With the artifact Durandil.
So it's probably a German card. That is why Christopher is immediately looking over to the judges and is like, what does this card do, please? And
yeah, he needs to know that one very specifically, what all the things that it does.
Yeah, it does a lot of things, yeah. So, yeah, one of the unique issues at European events, we've said this before, you only see it here, most likely, where players, well, for Americans sometimes it seems like, oh, they're all from the same country, but no, it's more than one. And in this case, we got a guy from the UK going up against a guy from Austria.
Yeah. Okay, so I think they're just getting him a text translation for that card, because I believe the judges involved are also don't speak German.
Yeah, I think the judges that we
Oh,
have...
there's the enemy controller that we were just considering. So Claudio on the next level thinking is already shutting that option down.
Wow. So, yeah, Durandal is... and so you can activate one of the 2 effects that it has. Once the effect is activated, which is what most of the time happens, when a normal spell trap card is activated, just a normal spell or trap card. So
oh, it can't use it because it's a quick play.
Yeah. So you can detach 1 exceed material from this card.
Yeah, Claudio just figured the same thing out. Yeah.
Yeah. So Claudio is also like, didn't work. And the other option is each player with a hand shuffles their entire hand into the deck, then draws the same number of cards they shuffled into the deck. So you get a mulligan. So now Christopher stole one of the constructs.
Yep, and he's going to run it straight into the other constructs. They're both going to trigger and destroy each other. And that's constructs 2 and 3, I believe.
Yeah, I think so too. So Claudio runs out of constructs this way.
Oh no, Durandal's just been activated.
Yeah, probably for the effect of the construct.
Oh, that's quite clever actually. So Christopher's effect monster becomes destroy 1 spell or trap, I believe.
No, so it seems like this
no,
wasn't possible.
That wasn't possible
Because it happens in the damage step. Would be.
Oh yeah, you can activate it in the damage step. Yeah.
That is why Claudio flipped it face down again, and he got to shuffle his face down cards, which is interesting because the disadvantage that he usually has, that his opponent knows that one of these 2 cards is so and so. The disadvantage just disappeared. I'm not sure if you're about to shuffle after that, after
I don't believe so, but the judge seems to have allowed it. But in that case, Claudio's basically volunteered free information because he's misunderstood how his card works.
So it's still a disadvantage, just a little bit less of a disadvantage than it should have been.
I believe that's all 3 of his constructs gone, right? No, I see 2 of them definitely.
So,
and he's just used Shaddoll Falco to get 1 back.
Yep. So now he's checking his opponent's graveyard, just making sure that his opponent doesn't really have that many options anymore. Christopher's field is a Battle Fader, Ronin, Torin, and Treeborn Frog, so he's went straight to defensive mode, and he has no sort of offense at this point. He really needs to draw into something here.
Yeah, he has a lot of cards that he could draw. He just needs to do it. He also, at the same time, has a whole bunch of these cards that are not going to do him justice if he draws them now. So we'll see how he continues out of this.
Yes, Claudio, on the other hand, still with a Mathematician in hand, Shaddoll Fusion, Shaddoll Core, and Chaos Sorcerer. So even if Christopher comes back, it's very likely that Claudio can one-up him and gain the upper hand one more time.
He's well protected. He's got Artifact Sanctum as well, face down. Christopher just drawing and setting a card immediately. There's only 10 cards that could be Torrential Tribute to 1 of 2 Mystical Space Typhoons.
Yes.
It is Mystical Space Typhoon.
Yep. So pretty rough for Christopher, who is staring down a huge field, and he's going to take some damage here. So that is the trap monster that the Shaddolls are able to play. Shaddoll Core, which we don't see too often, but we've seen it once or twice in Madrid, and it's very situational, but it can be a really good card.
Terribly sorry, there's a big announcement going on in the hall. It's actually so loud, it's getting through our awesome headphones.
Right, so yeah, you can special summon it as a monster, but it's still a trap card, so MST could deal with it.
Yeah, the most obnoxious number in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is 50. Like, cards that just have 50, it's just enough to beat monsters. Mechanical Chaser, destroying your 7-colored fish, 50. when you're trying to do a calculation after you've had 50 life points taken off, and all of a sudden then you second question your math. 50 is an obnoxious Yu-Gi-Oh number.
Right, so Christopher is not quite, he's not completely out of the game, but he's in a very, very tough spot. He now has a swap frog and a tree-bone frog, so...
Yeah, he's hemorrhaging life points here.
Yeah, but even that doesn't look like it's going to get him out of that, I don't want to say lock, but out of the situation that Claudio has put him on. He's really standing with his back against the wall here.
He's not giving up yet, so maybe he's got some more tricks up his sleeve.
Yeah, that is a dupe frog, isn't it?
That is a dupe frog, yes. Claudio just having a quick read of the dupe frog. It's being banished, so Ronin Toad come back.
All right, so his swap frog is attacking, and then he can go for another synchro summon. He's got a second formula synchron, does he?
I think it's an Exi summon
that
he's gone for. It's Gachi Gachi Gantetsu.
All right. So buying himself more time.
We haven't seen Gachi Gachi in a long time.
Yes.
It's
That's
very,
good.
very defensive, but Claudio...
Yeah, and Claudio's already explaining. He's like, hey, I got a Chaos Sorcerer. I will just banish Gachi Gachi Gentetsu. Then I can attack with 2 monsters. And this is going to be game. This is basically what he's explaining right now.
He explained to his opponent, so his opponent would concede, probably to save time.
Yes.
However, Christopher wanted to play that one out, make Claudio play that one out in case he changed his mind when his opponent didn't immediately concede. It's all a part of these mind games that players try to use on each other to gain an edge.
Yes.
So we're not seeing the Monarch deck coming out too strong now, and we saw exactly the problem that a lot of decks are facing against the Shaddoll archetype as a whole, which is it just keeps accumulating cards. Like, while it's doing what it's normally doing, it's just getting extra cards, whereas your deck is actually using cards to do stuff. So they just end up with way more options than you can possibly deal with.
Yes. So Claudio, quite relaxed right now. He's sitting in a pretty good position. Christopher, on the other hand, that if he takes the loss here, that could mean it's the end of his chances to advance to the top 32.
Yeah, I mean, many players hit this point and actually took the drop box immediately after getting their third loss in the tournament.
Yep. Well, the top of the standings are ever changing from round to round. Currently, Jake Quincy is leading the field, one of the players we have had earlier on our stream, so maybe history repeats itself. Right behind him is Floris van Arsch, who is a former national champion and also somebody who we've had on the stream before, who's been doing quite well and on the competitive scene. So we will have the standings up for you in just a second. Not on the stream, but on the written coverage that you can also check out. Right, so going into the second game, both of these guys have quite a few options. With in the side deck, of course. Again, we see Rise of the Storm Monarch, one of the all-stars in the side decks this weekend, it seems. Yeah. But for Claudio, not for Christopher, who is the Monarch player.
The interesting thing here, I suppose you ask as a player, is if I use Riser on your Monarch, if you don't have Treeborn Frog, do I win? You know, there are like Ronin Toad and other things to consider there, but I suppose you ask a serious question, because if you get a Riser and your opponent has no way to summon their Riser, you've actually taken away a draw phase from them. So that, whether or not that comes in, that's something that Claudio will consider. Probably ultimately opt against, but he's also got Fleece, Lightspawn Archer, 2 Mystical Space Typhoon, Monarch Storm 4 for Rageki. He might take in the Rageki to deal with Monarchers. Monarch's Mind Control. He could play that as it makes allows him to make synchro monsters with his Shaddoll Falco at the level 8. Free Trap Stun, he's not going to play those because there's like 1 trap card in.
Yeah, and you don't expect Monarchs to side into more trap cards.
If you've seen the Treeborn Frog, you're not going to anticipate many trap cards. And he's got Dimensional Prison and Rivalry of Warlords, and the rivalry could be quite interesting here.
Right, so we are going to take a very quick look at the standings of round 6 while these guys are still shuffling up. So we don't have to read them to you because we're lazy. You can take a look for yourself.
It's getting late. It's getting late. Here you go.
Right, so yeah, these are currently the leaders of the field, top 10 players. You can see if you recognize one or two names here.
I keep getting pestered for a feature for Jack. Igo. I have no idea what he's playing, but somebody keeps coming up saying, hey, feature Jack, feature Jack.
Yeah, well, we already had Paolo Pacciana earlier, and like we said, Jake Quincy. His brother, Luke, is also doing quite well this weekend, and he's also playing something unique. He is running Tellarknights. Well, not unique, but something we haven't had on the stream.
You know, that's an interesting situation we're in now where we can say, oh, someone's playing the Tellarknights, that's unique.
Right.
You know, so it's very different from what we anticipated in Madrid.
Yeah. So we're going to go back to the table where both of these guys are shuffling up currently, so they're done side decking. And we're all ready to go into the second duel here.
Who do you reckon's going to win this one, Oliver?
Well, I'm always tempted to have a 1-1 after the second game, so we see some more action. That is why I'm rooting for Christopher here.
I actually, you know what? I bet against the Monarch deck last time, and it was horribly wrong of me to do so. But I feel quite confident in Claudio. I've seen him play before. He is an excellent player, and just looking at how that game played out, Claudio was getting the most out of his deck at every point, and I feel like Christopher just ran out of cards, and I'm very tempted to say that's going to happen again. And we saw that the Formula Synchron and the Shaddoll Construct play, which confused us. If Christopher is going to be presumably that was a mistake, unless I'm missing something. If he's going to be making mistakes like that, there's no way Claudio's not going to punish him for it.
Yeah, I think the reason was he wanted to deny Claudio the surge.
Getting the fusion back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, even then, I'm not sure if that was the right move, to be honest. All right. So some of you are asking who's leading. Well, below the names we got these little lamps, and as you can see that Claudio has a big shiny yellow light, while Christopher has a dark red light. And if you've ever been at a traffic light, you will know that yellow is better than red in this particular situation. So Claudio took the first game. That is why we have those lights.
We're going to be going into game 2. I think they've just drawn their opening hands.
Right. And so let's bring them up again for you. The judges are currently working them in. It will just take another second. Here we go with Claudio. Shaddoll Falco, Shaddoll Beast, an Effect Veiler. So he also sided into the hand traps. And he's got a Burst Rebirth. Christopher's hand will take just another second. And the 5th card is a Black Luster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning. For 6th card for Claudio. This what? I see a Black Luster Soldier.
Okay, this is a very good. He's got the Sinister Shadow Games and a Falco.
Yeah.
And he's got
a
Black Luster Soldier as well.
Why does he have 6 cards?
Maybe Christopher probably went first. And then
okay,
just passed.
And he just passed. Okay, yeah.
That would
explain it, yeah.
Yeah, actually, if you look at his hand, that makes perfect sense. Like he just drew past. He's got Defusion, Mystical Space Typhoon, 2 Effect Veiler, the Monarch Stormforth.
Right. For a second, it seemed like somebody was playing by the old rules.
Yeah, it's somebody got out their rulebook from last year and went, oh yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah. All right. So second turn, Christopher again just passes, doesn't he? It looks like it, because Claudio's already on the attack again.
Yeah, Christopher drew past.
All right. So he did flip the Sinister Shadow Games.
It looks like he's sending Squamata to the graveyard to flip up his Shaddoll Falco. Claudio's, I think, now trying to figure out the chain order. Claudio having another read. We'll see what he commits to.
All right. So Claudio has quite a few follow-up plays, doesn't he? Or will he just sit back and relax and wait, because he's got pretty much what he needs?
Yeah, it's just been explained how the chain builds up for him. Because the Sinister Shadow Games is flipping up the Shaddoll Falco, and he's sending Squamata to the graveyard. He wants to see if he can use the Squamata effect to send something else to the graveyard and then grab that thing with the Falco, but he's not going to be able to do that. So,
yes.
So he sends a beast away to get a card out of it, but he gets his Squamata back.
Still doesn't seem too shabby.
No, that seems right. He's got Burst Rebirth anyway, so he can get the Shaddoll Beast that he wanted in the first place.
Right, so Christopher, in case you're wondering, why didn't he do anything so far? Well, he's got enough cards that he can just play when he needs to. He doesn't have to commit them early on or something, especially with those Effect Veilers. We haven't seen them for quite a while, and are they back now, or is it something unique about Monarchs?
They're very good against Burning Abyss, against the Tour Guide from the Underworld. I'm trying to think of the applications against Shaddolls, and I suppose you can shut your opponent down when they go for their flip summons to try and get cards out of this, but otherwise I don't feel like, because of the timing restriction on Effect Veiler only being able to use during your opponent's main phase, I don't feel it's like that amazing against the Shaddoll deck, so I'm interested to see why they stayed in.
Yeah, it's very interesting. He seems to be convinced that the card is putting in some legwork for him. Doesn't seem that way. So Effect Veiler, in case you haven't seen it in a while, it's a little spellcaster. Was about to say fairy, but no, it's a spellcaster that you can discard from your hand to negate the effect of an opponent's face-up monster for the turn.
Yeah, Christopher just sitting back there. For example, he stops the Shaddoll Beast accelerating Claudio's game plan, but the Shaddoll Beast still has 2,200 attack points.
Yeah. So Claudio is thinking a little bit longer about his options, isn't he? I think that is what is going on. And
yeah.
Now he's about to commit to another move.
I think Claudio wants to target the Squamata, use Squamata to target the Falco. Destroy the Falco with a card effect. Okay. Yep, it's been sorted. I think it's being read again.
Yeah, just explain to him like what's possible, what's not possible, what's happening. Right. So as you can see, that's why we got the charges on the table. They can resolve most of the issues momentarily. Here it's an interaction between 3 different cards.
Yeah, there it is. It was, yeah. So he's flipped the Squamata, destroyed his own Falco. Falco is destroyed by a card effect. Its effect activates in the graveyard to special summon itself back. So now Claudio gets another activation of his Falco, and he gets to get in for 4,000 damage. Right.
So Claudio is sending another card, which is most likely the Artifact Sanctum. But it gets hit by MST.
Yeah, and as he controls no other cards, the Artifact Sanctum doesn't actually even bother Christopher when it has its drawback. Claudio's going to decide whether or not he wants to activate it.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Normally that could have been a 2-for-1, but in this situation it's not doing that much. He activates it, he builds an even more impressive field. But this is why Raigeki wouldn't be such a big game-breaking card, because if you would activate it, all you would do is buy yourself half a turn.
So what would happen if you played Raigeki here is Shaddoll Beast would draw cards, Squamata would send another card to the graveyard, probably Hedgehog, which would then add something else to hand. The Falco would then reset to the field. So Claudio would just end up in a just as good position, and then he'd have access to the Blackluster Soldier play next turn. So this is an example for why Raigeki coming back has not changed the game as much as a few people were concerned about.
And as much as it used to be. Right. So Claudio, these are his options. He's also got an Effect Veiler, just like Christopher has. Well, Christopher has 2. Got a Blackluster Soldier. That would be the one advantage. If his field would be sent to the graveyard, he would have the necessary materials here. And a Shaddoll Beast. And now he declares an attack. No, he doesn't. Oh.
He's using Morale Tax effect to destroy his own Shaddoll Beast, so he gets to draw a card.
Okay. So it seems like an effect Veiler is used in response.
No, I don't believe so. It's Monarch Stormforth.
Monarch Stormforth. Okay. So it's Christopher's turn now, which is something.
Yeah, Christopher's trying to decide what he's going to tribute.
And he's got a Vanity's Fiend in hand, one of the best cards against Shaddoll.
Actually, Vanity's Fiend would be really, really good for him. Oh, we appear to be missing this card from... Okay, he decides to tribute the Falco and summons Vanity's Fiend. And then he gets to attack straight over the Squamata for a little bit of damage.
Yeah, so the first action that we're seeing in the second game from Christopher, whose hand was like really putting him in a pretty tough spot here. And well, now he's got some field presence and well, good field presence with the Vanity's Fiend. His face-down card is a Defusion. Yeah, there we go.
The really interesting thing is Claudio actually has no way of dealing with the Vanity's Fiend right now.
Yep.
He's just drawn Solemn Warning, which is a turn 2 late. So while he's unable to special summon, he's unable to put any monster that has greater than 2,400 attack points. Unless, of course, he sided in his own, the Monarch Stormforth and Risers. He's currently not looking very good at all. The Defusion's very, very useful against the Shaddoll fusions, because it's a way of getting them off the field without actually giving them back the Shaddoll fusion. Oh, there you go. Squamato's going to...
There we go.
Destroy it. Yeah, it's not Majesty's Fiend, sorry, so yeah, he's going to...
So he's got an answer.
He has got an answer, I'm just overreacting.
Well, Claudio is not the kind of guy to overreact.
No. No, he is not. It's Face of Steel.
Yeah, yep. Right, so here's Claudio's hand. It's missing one card. Now, there it is. It's the Shaddoll Beast. He's got the Shaddoll Fusion, which he's not going to activate for free anyway, so he might as well go for it now. Or
yeah, he could quite comfortably play it if he really wanted to. I mean, unless he wants to hold on to any of those cards. I mean, the Shaddoll Beast is... He might chuck out an Effect Veiler. I cannot see him throwing away the Blackluster Soldier at this point. He might even consider just summoning the Blackluster Soldier. He knows his opponent's playing very minimalistic spell and trap cards that can deal with it.
Yep.
Yep, here it comes.
Right. So there is the Blackluster Soldier making an appearance again. It's a card we've been seeing a lot today.
Yeah, as long as a deck like Shaddoll, which can easily play Light and Dark together, it's Blackluster Soldier is an easy win condition for the deck. Because Blackluster Soldier disappeared for the longest time during Murmel's, Fire Fist.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, because the main attributes that you're playing are just not going to support it.
Right, so Claudio is pulling out all the stops. He doesn't fear something like well, Torrential Tribute or Mirror Force or something?
No, after the Blackluster Soldier resolved, he's very confident it's not Torrential Tribute. He knows Mirror Force is really bad against his deck anyway.
Yeah.
So he's going to make a safe assumption that most people that are still in the later stages of the tournament are not playing Mirror Force, because he hasn't seen it from... He hasn't seen much from his opponent at all. Mirror Force, when you're playing 3-1 Frog, just doesn't make sense anyway, because if your opponent doesn't attack, you don't ever get your frogs back.
Yep. So now he has a Vanity's Emptiness, and this is one of these situations we've been talking about quite a bit, especially in Madrid. You build your field, throw everything down, flip Vanity's Emptiness, and very often that translates to win the game.
Yeah, it's a very viable option. I mean, right there we've got 5,800 points of damage from Claudio, because the Blackluster Soldier can destroy the Dupe Frog and attack again, and then the Construct can attack again.
Will Claudio, well, risk, in quotation marks, attacking with the Blackluster Soldier, or does he expect something that if it flips, destroys his Blackluster Soldier.
I don't think he would in the Monarch deck, depending on how comfortable he feels with that matchup. Because the Monarch deck doesn't really... Yeah, there, he's not
There he
clearing
goes.
it.
So
Diffusion on the Construct.
right. So Diffusion gets rid of the Construct.
Oh yeah, because Diffusion says you send a Fusion monster back to the extra deck, then you summon monsters from your graveyard that were fusion materials for that monster. So Claudio isn't Christopher, so he doesn't get any of his monsters back. So Diffusion is just a one-card answer to a Shaddoll monster.
It's an instant solution to a big Construct, and I'm quite surprised, to be honest, that we haven't seen this before.
Well, Joshua Smith was playing this in Madrid, although every time he had Diffusion,
was for his own
it
card.
got Mystical Space Typhoon, or something else bad happened to it. So we never actually saw Diffusion. It's one of those cards that catch you off guard. So originally when I saw it, I was like, oh, but it gives them back the materials. And it's like, well, no, because you don't, you know how I mean, you know, you don't have my monsters in your graveyard, so you don't get them back.
Yeah. But still, it's a one-card answer to some of the most powerful cards in the game at the moment. So Christopher, well, drew in, that was a little bit... He drew into a Treeborn Frog, which he probably set right here. And he's got another Spell Trap, which is his second Diffusion. So, yeah, still a very rough time for him. Like, he really doesn't have what he needs, does he?
Did that last direct attack connect from Blackluster Soldier, or was it attack the Dib Frog? Maybe. Okay, never mind.
Yeah,
does the Dib Frog summon something when it's destroyed?
I'm not sure. There's this time there's an Effect Veiler.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It seemed like Blackluster Soldier was attacking and then the Construct was attacking, rather than the Blackluster Soldier attacking. Oh no, there we go. Christopher has 1,000 life points, so it did connect.
Yeah, it was just a delay.
And there we go, and that would be game. Well, no, because Claudio tried to banish the face-down card, and Christopher discarded his Effect Veiler. Thank you. So, but it still doesn't. Claudio still will not get to attack with it because he activated the effect, even though it didn't resolve.
Yeah, that's what's being checked here. It's like he still gets lumped with the restriction, even though his effect didn't resolve.
Yep. So we're in main phase 2 now, and Claudio goes for
Leo, Keeper of the Sacred Tree, which is an untargetable 3,100 attack monster.
And that's, at this point in time, it's impossible to remove for Christopher.
Yeah.
He draws, he doesn't find an answer, and he's like, okay, well, that is it. There's nothing I can do against this giant of a monster.
Yeah, that was very decisively Claudio's. I never really felt like Christopher really had hold of the game. I mean, he had this bit with the Majesty's Fiend. I completely forgot that Squamata would... No, it wasn't Majesty's Fiend. It was Vanity's Fiend. He had the Vanity's Fiend, and that was where he looked like he had control of the game, but then one Squamata later, Christopher is all of a sudden now completely out of, like, no control over the game, and Claudio never once breaking a sweat here.
Yeah. Well, we've seen that quite differently back in Madrid when the Monarchs did extremely well against Shaddoll. Not so much this time around.
Maybe Claudio saw that feature match and went, I am not getting caught out like that. And he did his research. Chances are, because Claudio is a part of a big play group, that they would have tested the Monarch deck.
Yeah.
And they'd be familiar with how it works anyway.
Pretty much.
That generally happens to you if you've played a deck before and you sit across from it, you get, like even if it was years ago, you can go, oh yeah, I remember the basics.
Yeah. All right, well, so the tournament is, well, more or less over for Christopher. He can, of course, continue playing, but he's not going to advance to the top 32 or top 64 we're going to play this weekend.
It'll be top 32.
Top 32. There are infinite other things you can do at YCS London. We got the whole carnival. We brought it here.
Yeah, there's loads of different games. There's giant duels. There's public events. There's the
number bingo.
Number hunters. The number bingo. There's the giant attack of the giant card.
And you
attack of the giant card. The giant attack of the giant card is for a shooting a large foil shooting quasar dragon.
Right. And there's also you can play as Karibo and fly and crouch.
Oh, that's dual dash.
Dual dash.
Yes.
Karibo's dual dash.
It's great exercise if you've been sat in a chair for all day and then just do a couple of those, you'll be knackered.
After 7 rounds, I really want to be like Karibo and just jump around and crouch and jump and crouch and jump.
I kind of just want to go to bed, I'll be honest. But, you know, I could maybe do with a few jumps beforehand.
Right. So quite a few players. I spoke to our public events scorekeepers earlier, Markus Kölsch, for example, and he said that what we're doing, one of the special things we're doing this weekend is if somebody gets a demo of Yu-Gi-Oh! Over in the other hall at the Hazam Games.
Yeah, Hazam Games.
Hazam Games booth, they get a voucher or a coupon, and with that they get a chance to play a free sealed deck tournament. And we have already been running 35 of these tournaments when they are with 8 players each.
Yeah, a lot of players coming, especially to MCM, maybe not players, they're familiar with the anime.
Yeah, but they have heard of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah,
at some
and
point.
they've gone, oh yeah, this is really cool. And it's like, oh, come take a demo, and like, here, you can play in a small little tournament after you've got the grasp of the game.
And you get some cards for free.
Yeah, it's that's free for them.
Like a win-win-win for you. So that's one of the reasons why you should come here. Other tournaments you can play is the Winnermat events.
Yeah, but those are always really popular.
Very easy tournament, like not very complicated like a YCS where you have so many players rolling up. It's just 32 guys.
Yep.
And they are going to play in a knockout tournament.
Is it 32 for the winner mats?
Might be 16.
I think it's 16.
Yeah,
it's just
16.
Knockouts, winner gets the game.
So
up.
you win 4 rounds, and after 4 rounds you're walking away with a brand new playmat. Like, what is better than that?
Giant card.
Giant card is a very good word there, yes. We have more giant card events than ever before at this tournament. So you got, is it 8 chances?
I actually don't remember.
It's either 6 or even 8 chances to win a giant card. So just like the Giant Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you can play with gigantic cards, those are even bigger and you get to take them home. So that's, in 2 respects, that's even better.
They make excellent decorations. I mean, Shooting Quasar looks awesome. You've got El Shaddoll Construct, very popular card this tournament. That's also here.
Yeah.
There's
what happens when you
when
you play a small diffusion on the superimposed El Shaddoll Construct? Do you get super big materials?
Well, the giant cards can't be used in a real duel, but if you're at home on the kitchen table, you can do whatever you want. Because I wouldn't want to figure out the logistics of that. I'd be like, oh, it's a small kitchen. I can only get 1 giant card at a time.
Right. Guys, don't forget that we also have the written coverage accompanying our live stream. So if you ever get bored with us, I guess that could happen after 8 hours or something.
Yeah.
You can always check out that, where we have complete standings, not just the top 10 of the tournament, but the complete standings from the first to the very last player. And we also got other special features, like we're introducing a duelist profile, for example.
Yeah.
And written feature matches, in case you are having trouble following the action on the video stream.
Yeah, you can go through the written coverage and you can click on all the links to find out what the cards do. Because I know when the cards are flicking through, we can only bring up so many of them, and the field changes so fast. You'll hear us talking about a card like the Eye of Truth, which you should definitely look into. Good card. And you can go, oh, okay, in the written coverage or something, there'll be like a link to it.
Yes, so you can check it out in your own time, at your own pace. Well, what other stories do we have this weekend? There's lots going on at YCS London, like you heard before. We have been showing you exclusive new content about the OP programs that are coming up. One has to do with the ordeal of a traveler.
Yeah.
And to get that exclusive and amazing playmat, you have to go to YCS Milan. And we're very much looking forward to that. At the last 2 events, we've seen the Italians putting up strong numbers.
Yeah, but for that ordeal mat, it's not just Milan you have to go to. You had to go to every European YCS this year. Milan is the last stop for you to get that. We're not going to sneak any more YCSs in to make that difficult for you. But,
some people will not be happy to hear that.
Maybe not, because the mat is gorgeous. When you look at it, it's just like, it's a real memento of the crazy trip, the ordeal that you guys would have gone through.
Yes. It's not quite the 7 stages of hell. It's a lot more enjoyable from what I've been told. And you even get a reward for that. So I think
regardless of how you did in the event, you could have went 0-3 drop every single one, and you still get to walk away with this game, man.
Yeah. Is this program going to return next year?
It's something I have to talk to my colleagues about, because managing it is a little bit difficult. Like, one of the rules is you have to play on the same COSI ID the whole way through. A few people have not done that, and it's just really, really complicated because you've got to figure out, is A person B? So they're trying to see if there's an easy way of doing that, or if they're just going to say, hey, you broke the rules.
It's something you don't expect up front. You're just like, if somebody's going to all events, he's going to do it with the same number, but then sometimes reality hits you in the face and you're like, oh, that's not what I thought.
Yeah, well, it's, again, if when those decisions are being made, it's not because we want to be jerks to you guys and go, oh, we're out to get that one guy. It's logistically, it's a nightmare to sort out and impossible to determine, is A also B.
Right.
So just play on the same COSI ID and save yourself the trouble.
Yes.
That's my advice if you play. If we do that next year, just play on the same COSI ID.
Well, next year we're of course going to have quite a few YCSs again.
That's correct.
And well, also the European Championship. So if this is your first time and this is your first experience with Yu-Gi-Oh!, you should definitely check out the official website where you can find all of that information, all the information about all the various events, how you can enroll. The next cool event that is going to come up is the sneak preview.
Yes, for the new challengers. It's next weekend, actually.
Okay.
So I only know that because my birthday is on Monday. 27 years old.
and still doing quite well in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah. I've never won YCS, but I'd say this is about as close as I'm going to get.
Close enough, if you ask me. It's almost as good as winning. So what can people expect from the new challenges? Of course, it's going to shake up the metagame quite a bit again, right? We got the Clifford.
Yeah, the Clifford archetype that's already been tearing up the scene in Japan. Very, very powerful. First, really, really hyper-competitive pendulum deck. A lot of people are utterly terrified when this theme comes, and you can see it doing absolutely ridiculous things.
Yeah.
Really high hopes for that.
Well, the thing is, I spoke to some guys in between rounds, and they said that this is an archetype that the format can actually really need, because it's going to turn the whole thing into a triangle.
Yeah.
At the moment, a lot of people think that Shaddoll is simply both better than Burning Abyss and better than the Satella Knights, and they think that Clifford is really good against Shaddoll, while at the same time it's not that good against Burning Abyss. And then suddenly you have this triangle with deck A beating deck B, beating deck C.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Yes.
But
the Yu-Gi-Oh! Version.
Whether or not it stays like that, because there's lots of side deck options and tech options you can make to make that piece of paper really, really hard.
It's not like tic-tac-toe, it's more like a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, and even going beyond the Cliffords, we've got more Burning Abyss monsters.
Yes.
They're turning up. Virgil, is
the Rockstar.
Rockstar of the Burning Abyss. When I first saw that card, I was like, this is awesome. He is utterly, utterly ridiculous. And it's going to be another really welcome addition to the already successful Burning Abyss theme. We have El Shaddoll Shekanaga, which it creates really interesting opportunities for the deck, because it means that you can use Earth monsters for your Shaddoll Fusion. So Glow Up Ball becomes a viable option. Your mathematicians become material, and you get additional options open to you.
So quite a few things are going to change with the release of that set. And it's tournament legal right away, right? When it's officially being sold.
As soon as it's released, yep, it's going to be legal for.
So it's less than another month, and you can have a very different environment.
Yes, and you've got a little bit of time to test before Milan.
Yes, that is also true.
You want to test your Clifford matchup. if all else, you need to test that.
Yeah, you should definitely be coming prepared for that one deck at least. If there's only one deck, this should be the one.
Yeah, if that's the only one deck you're going to play test against, which I'd say would be a mistake, just play against that deck at least once so you understand why it's going to beat you.
Yeah, we have seen this weekend that it pays out to also be prepared for decks like Medolce or Monarchs or Gravekeepers, in fact. So still lots of room for innovation at this point in time. We don't know if that will change until Milan, because it's a few more months. It's like almost 2 months until then.
Milan also has Noble Knights going to be legal for that point, and that deck is very, very powerful. The guy in the pointy stick is a normal summon that has a huge amount of attack points it can get over. Merlin also being extraordinarily powerful for that deck. it has an opportunity to get in there. So it's one that maybe people just say, you know what, it doesn't have enough steam. But as the version that I'm playing is a very hyper-aggressive deck.
Yeah.
Where I know the deck isn't going to win the late game against something like Shaddoll. But if I beat the Shaddoll deck before all of those cards matter, then it doesn't matter if he has 20 cards on me.
Exactly.
If I beat him in my window.
Suddenly life points do become a resource in the game, and you have to watch out for them.
You're counting every single one.
Yes. We'll be back with the last round for today, where we will most likely again look at 2 players that have to win to be in, or, well, if they lose, they are out. Until then, we will show you what prizes are on the line. That's going to be next. We see you later. Until then, take care.